You are listening to the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. Sam Lubman and Joe Shasky coming at you every week with all your best Giants content. Make sure you're liking, reviewing, subscribing, sharing, telling everybody about it, because we got about a month left of this season, and there's definitely going to be lots of fun stuff to be talking about, as this episode is suggesting, all part of the Odyssey Sports Network here at 95.7 The Game. Before we get out of here, I want to just touch on a couple of Giants pitchers, Kyle Harrison, Logan Webb. Just want to throw a couple thoughts here before we get out. Kyle Harrison, he's starting tonight against the Reds. I haven't decided when I'm going to release this episode yet. Maybe it'll be in a minute. Maybe it'll be tomorrow morning. But either way, Kyle Harrison makes his home debut tonight on Monday night, August 28th, against the Reds. But he made his Major League debut in Philly last Tuesday. Shasky, what were your initial thoughts of Kyle Harrison in his debut?
I thought it looked good. I'm excited for what I'm seeing from the young man. I mean, I know it's only a 3-inning appearance, but I think that the guy's got tremendous promise for 21, 22 years old. Like, what's not to like? I mean, he's a lefty who can sling it. And the next thing you know, I'm looking at him. He's got a nice fastball. He's got a nice slider. I think the changeup and slider both need a lot of work, but clearly to me, there's something to work with there. Is he the next Bumgarner? Is he the next Andy Pettitte? I don't know. Yeah. I just want to see the kid pitch.
I agree. It's funny that you mentioned Bumgarner, because I mean, I'm horrible with player comps, and maybe what I'm about to say is going to be proof positive of that. But when I watch Kyle Harrison pitch, I see a smaller version of Madison Bumgarner, especially with that 3/4 delivery, the way he kind of slings it around the side.
I see that too.
Yeah, like Madison Bumgarner, one of the best descriptions I've ever heard about Madison Bumgarner's delivery. It's almost like he's throwing around the side of a barn. And that kind of delivery is what really tripped up Vladimir Guerrero in the 2010 World Series. Is the only first time ever that he struck out 3 times against a left-handed pitcher. That's how good Bumgarner was in that series. But Harrison has a very similar delivery, slings the ball very well, can hit those upper 90s. Yeah, I'm very excited about Kyle Harrison, what he can do. And I do see a plus pitcher there who, along with him and Logan Webb, could be a very good 1-2 punch atop that rotation. One thing that's kind of interesting about what they're doing with Harrison here is how they're bringing him along innings-wise. He's only thrown 5 innings in the minors once. They do plan to kind of extend him a bit as they bring him up here. He threw 65 pitches in his first start. I asked Gabe Kapler about kind of what the plan is in terms of kind of extending him there. They are going to gradually kind of ramp him up. He always says, Kapler's term he uses is the slow ramp up is what they're trying to do with Kyle Harrison. I don't know. What are your thoughts in terms of just kind of how they've been easing or managing Kyle Harrison's workload this year?
I'm conflicted. I get you want to be careful with these guys' arms. Believe me, I really do. Like seeing Shohei get his second Tommy John, or on deck to get a second Tommy John. Like, I understand being scared, but like also you got to build up some callus, bro.
Yeah.
Like the guy pitched 67 innings or 66 innings and had, 25 appearances. It's less than 3 innings in appearance. What are we doing? How does my 12U team log more innings than Kyle Harrison? Like, seriously.
Well, I have a theory to that, and it's
like, real quick. Don't you have to spar to be ready to go to war?
I agree with you, and I think it's the way they're doing it. I think looks weird, but I think, and this is where, as much as I don't like Farhan's strategies, I do still trust his ability to develop talent. I think he's done a good job there, and I think this fits into that. You remember back in 2012 when the Nationals had an innings cap on Steven Strasburg, and then he hit 150 innings, and like, nope, you're done. We don't care if we're in a divisional race. I feel like the Giants, they really looked at Kyle Harrison and said, hey, when we're in the playoff race in September, we want Kyle Harrison to help us, kind of get over the finish line there.
Yeah, but they didn't complete the front end of the project. Stay in an NL West race.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. But you see where I'm going with this. But
yes,
I think
I do.
Let's say if they put a 150 inning cap on Kyle Harrison this year, what the Nationals did was pitch Strasburg until he hits 150. Okay, you're done. That's it. No more. What I feel like the Giants tried to do, though, is I don't know what the actual innings cap was. I'm just using 150 as an example. But let's say if it was 150 innings, they wanted to make sure that 150th inning came at the very end of September and not in like the 3rd week of August like it did with the Nationals and Strasburg. Now, if that's the plan where they want to kind of space things out that way, I feel like that kind of makes a little bit more sense in terms of just trying to develop him in that sense.
See, but this is where I have a problem. Raw data, 150 innings. Well, what if they're all cruise innings? Like, what if they're all stress innings and guys are on base? Like, are all innings created equal? No. We see 7 pitch innings. We see 28 pitch innings. We see 33 pitch innings, 14 pitch innings. Like, That matters more than anything. Like I would ask this, and I would love to hear Kapler's thoughts on this. When you're coming up with innings or pitch limits on guys, is that determining how many fastballs, how many sliders, how many changeups? Like, what goes into that thought process? How many from the stretch? How many from the windup? Like, do you get where I'm going with this?
Obviously, our goal is just to make sure that Kyle is going out there and having professional innings and being efficient with his pitches. I mean, that's probably how it started off. But I've asked Kapler about that in the past, and he always talks about how, the previous start in that pitch count kind of determines where they go in the next one. Nothing's ever set in stone.
Yeah.
My guess is you would get a very long 3.5-minute answer with, about 17 total seconds of useful information there. But again, it's like we knew that they were going to baby Kyle Harrison. I think earlier this year, Farhan kind of talked about how they're going to bring Harrison up very similar to how the Dodgers brought up Julio Urias. And it felt like Julio Urias was like forever, like 2-3 years away from getting that full workload. Like Urias was brought to the roster, but it was like 2-3 years before he was actually like getting sustainable innings. And I do understand the concept of limiting innings. I didn't write this down, but I just did a quick dive. Shasta, did you know that before his age, when he debuted to his age 24 season, Justin Verlander averaged like 160 innings per season, whereas guys like Madison Bumgarner, Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum, before their age 24 season, they were averaging like 180 innings per season. But then after that age 24 season, Verlander really started to ramp it up. That's when he started becoming that 200 inning guy, and that's why he's one of the best pitchers today. You look at Lincecum, Cain, and Bumgarner. What were they doing at age 32? Their arms were essentially shot. So if you want to kind of limit the innings limit now because you're trying to extend his career further down the line, I get that. And what the Giants are doing with Harrison, I feel like that's kind of the plan that they're trying to go with there is he's 21 years old. You're 22 years old. He doesn't need to be hitting, 200 inning paces just yet. Honestly, wait till he's like 24, 25, even 26 before you get him on that 180, 200 inning pace. Right now, I'm okay with just, what? I want to see Kyle Harrison have a 17-year career, and you don't need to have that entire career in the first 2 seasons.
No, I hear you. I'm with you on that one. There's no doubt about it. It's just you got to build this thing up a little. Like you can't go hitting the 300-pound benchmark if you don't work your way up. And so work your way up to 275 before you go trying to lift 300.
And I think that's what they're doing with Harrison. It's just I think it's going a little bit slower than we're used to. But again, what we've seen done in the past led to those pitchers' arms kind of falling apart in their 30s. And I think the goal is to make sure that doesn't happen with Harrison. Really quick before we get out of here, I want to have a quick Logan Webb conversation. It's been kind of rough going here in the second half. He's got a 4.79 ERA in his last 7 starts, 4.47 here in the second half after a 3.14 ERA in the first half. I challenged Logan Webb at the beginning of this month to really kind of carry this team. Didn't really work out that way. That being said, Shasky, he did sign that big deal at the start of the year. I think he still pitched very well this year. I think he's going to get some Cy Young votes at the end of the year. He's not going to be in contention to win the award. He's not going to be in the final 3. But when you go on the baseball reference page and look at the 2023 Cy Young votes, he'll probably be getting like 1 or 2 third or fourth place votes or something like that. Would you say that Logan Webb has kind of signing this deal? Do you feel like he's kind of lived up to the deal so far?
Yes. Because to me, he's one of the few guys he's the only guy in the rotation I trust to give me 6 every single time. And when he doesn't pitch well, I'm surprised. So he really is. I think he's been a stud.
He really is. It was crazy. So his last 2 starts have gone against Spencer Strider. And you brought this up in our text thread. Him and Strider's numbers, aside from the strikeouts, aren't really that different. ERA, Webb's got the 351 to Strider's 346. Webb obviously leads the league in innings. Their whip, very similar. Webb's got the 1.1 to Strider's 1.06. Webb walks guys less. His FIP's a little bit higher because he's kind of had that issue with the home runs. The opponent batting average is a little bit higher for Webb, 248 to 204 for Strider. But again, ground ball pitcher, you're going to be getting more contact there versus Strider being a strikeout pitcher. Overall, though, their numbers aren't that crazy. I think Strider's going to be a front runner for the Cy Young, though, whereas Webb, again, just kind of outside that top tier. Here's the Strider-Webb comparison that blows my mind the most. When they've gotten 2 runs of support or less, Logan Webb, that's happened to him 11 times. He's gotten 2 or less runs of support. Strider's only had 2 games where he's had 2 or less runs of support.
Wow.
3 to 5 runs, with getting 3 to 5 runs of support, Webb, it's happened to him 12 times. He's 5-2 in those games. It's happened 10 times for Strider. He's 6-1. 6 or more runs of support, Shasky. It's only happened 4 times for Logan Webb. He's 3-0 in those starts. 14 times for Spencer Strider.
Wow.
14 times his offense has given 6 or more runs of support. I mean, he's got one of the great lineups behind him. But he's got, if Logan Webb was on the Braves, I mean, how much better are his numbers looking?
15 wins, right?
Yeah, probably. He's probably also, I mean, if Strider and Webb atop that Braves rotation, the Braves would look more unbeatable than they do right now. So I'm still very bullish on Logan Webb. I still think that him and hopefully Kyle Harrison will make a great 1-2 punch atop this rotation. But yeah, I'm with you. I think so far he is living up to the deal, and he's a very easy guy to root for, local guy. The fans really love him. Sets the tone with his play every day. I am shocked when he doesn't perform. I'm still high on Logan Webb's future, though.
I am too. I think he's been an absolute stud, and I'm like, if they can get one other guy like Logan Webb, now we're cooking with oil.
Yeah. And again, hopefully they just use them correctly, because that's how we get into the mess that we are in right now. So this has been episode 73 of the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast, the episode where I officially decided I'm not in on Farhan anymore. So Mark Willard, it's up to you. You have to defend Farhan now. You're all alone in that. Anyway, for Sam Lubman here with Joe Shasky, we will catch you on the next one.